What is self-harm? Self-harm may be defined as intentional damage to a person's bodily tissue, which results in harm or injury to themselves. One way of thinking about self-harming behaviours is that, like mental health in general, they sit along a continuum or a spectrum. This spectrum of self-harming includes things like excessive eating or under-eating, drinking too much alcohol, smoking, or excessive self-criticism. Most of us will have done one or more of these things when we feel the stress which arises from unmet needs. Further along the self-harming spectrum, other behaviours might include self-injury, like biting or scratching oneself, headbanging, self-poisoning, overdosing on prescription or illegal drugs, and cutting or burning of the skin. What are the causes of self-harm? A common misconception is that people who self-harm are trying to meet a need for attention. But research shows that most people begin self-harming in response to distressing feelings and thoughts, unpleasant memories and flashbacks. These are often connected to existing traumas, adverse childhood experiences of neglect and abuse, the breakup of families, and bereavement. When we're injured, the body releases endorphins, a natural painkiller. By triggering the release of endorphins, physical self-harm gives a person some sense of control over emotional pain and distress. But seeking the release of endorphins can become a habit, like anything which makes us feel better for a while and gives us relief from pain. A person might seek relief from their distress through self-harm, but then feel low or even guilty about it afterwards. They might then self-harm again, becoming dependent on endorphins to block out guilt or feelings of low self-worth. Why does self-harm increase the risk of suicide? One reason is that self-harm may unintentionally result in accidental death. Another reason is to do with the number of times a person self-harms. The average age when self-harming behaviour first occurs is between 12 and 13. About 17% of the population, or nearly 1 in 5 of us, will resort to self-harm at some point, and about half of those people will self-harm only once or twice in their lives. But about 1 in 20 will go on to self-harm 10 or more times. When this happens, a person's self-esteem is seriously affected, and this is when the risk of experiencing suicidal thoughts arises. So, what can we do to reduce the risk of unmet needs resulting in suicide and self-harm? Firstly, we can spread awareness of how risk factors prevent emotional needs from being met. Providing information about emotional needs and offering sources of support may be critically important at times when we know people may be at particular risk. For example, if we know that children and young people have had adverse or traumatic experiences, or following the breakdown of a relationship, or during a separation or divorce, or when people are struggling with debts or financial hardship. When we understand that we all have emotional needs for security, control, attention, status, community, emotional connection, privacy, achievement, and meaning and purpose, we are better able to understand what the causes of distressing feelings and thoughts might be. Secondly, we can learn healthy ways to get control over the distressing thoughts and feelings behind suicide and self-harm. The part of our brain which takes charge when we might be at risk is called the amygdala, which we can think of as our personal security officer. If the security officer senses a threat, it will trigger the fight or flight response. But sometimes, if a person feels trapped and unable to meet their emotional needs, the security officer will continue to trigger distressing feelings and thoughts. When this happens, we should seek support from mental health services, which can help us get some control over unwanted thoughts and feelings. This might involve learning breathing exercises, like 7-11 breathing, to calm down the brain's security officer. It might involve working with a therapist to address traumatic memories and stop them from affecting us in the present. We might also take a different point of view on thoughts and feelings and see them as the brain's alarm system overreacting as it tries to keep us safe. Finally, if the brain's security officer is too focused on a problem, we can get stuck in the habit of thinking that things will never change or get better. But if we can take back control by making one small change at a time, Each step takes us closer to meeting emotional needs in healthy ways. If you or a child or young person you know is concerned about their mental health, contact your GP and Children and Young People's Mental Health Services. If someone has a serious injury, seek help immediately by calling 999 or attending A&E. If they have an open wound or injury, seek medical advice from the GP surgery or local NHS walk-in centre so that it does not get worse.